all. We're back. Ghostwood, episode 6 for the week of May 21st, 2017. The return of Twin Peaks to television.
Yes.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yay.
Yeah. Had to throw in an old school Monty Python reference.
Oh, of course.
But, yeah, welcome back to Ghostwood. We're going to talk about, you guessed it, The Return, parts 1 and 2. I'm kind of disappointed that there aren't any individual titles for the episodes, but
Right.
we'll make do. We'll make do. We'll deal with it. But obviously, the first 2 chapters of the new Twin Peaks on Showtime, written by Mark Frost and David Lynch, and directed by David Lynch, as all of them are. And aren't we glad about that, that Lynch is directing all of them?
I'm extremely glad about that. I think it's going to be...
That all of this is just one big Lynch fest, chopped up into episodes.
I think that's what a lot of us really just wanted. And there was... I don't know, with the original series, I think it became, it sort of seemed like it snowballed, that it sort of had to be a little more mainstream. It was on ABC. It was a network show. And now this is Showtime. It's streaming. It can just be David Lynch. It can be, as weird as possible. And they can just take it and run with it in all its Lynchy gloriousness.
Yes, and since I was so stupidly forgotten to mention this, I'm Charles Skaggs, by the way.
I'm Xan Sprouse.
There you go. So now you know who we are. And we're here to help unpack the first 2 episodes of the new Twin Peaks because, Lord Almighty, there are aplenty things to talk about.
We are just so excited to be talking about a new episode of Twin Peaks, we totally forgot to say who we are.
Exactly. It's that enthusiasm... and the fact that I've been up since 5:45 this morning.
Wow. Okay, then.
running on fumes after a day of work. So yes.
Posted on fumes here, Diane.
Exactly. Got to fuel up when I get into town. So yes. I've went through the first 2 episodes and I've kind of broken them out into 6 main topics that we can break down from there. I was trying to organize this because obviously there's a lot of back and forth between scenes, between characters, between locations, not just in Twin Peaks anymore.
Right.
So before I get into that, though, I want to get your thoughts, Xan, because thankfully for those who weren't here for episode 5 when we talked about this, you were kind enough to invite my wife Lori and me over to watch the premiere with you and your husband Chris. And
yes, thanks for coming.
Which was awesome because we got to sit in the dark and watch the premiere. And now it's dark.
Now it's dark.
And we had a great time, I think. So I know Lori and I thought we had a great time. So hopefully you feel the same way.
We did. We had a great time, and
lots of donuts.
We had donuts left over. I know you took them home, so we had a good time.
You had the awesome spread laid out on the coffee table.
I did. I had donuts laid out like Lucy would do it,
exactly.
And then I had butter and brie sandwiches on baguette, just like Jerry Horn would bring home.
Which was a great idea, by the way.
And then I had carrots, like Benjamin Horn would be eating.
Yeah. I felt bad for not eating the carrots, because I love carrots, so...
I figured we needed something savory, so I figured those would be 2 good things to do, so...
I think part of us, all of us, really, were just so glued to what was going on the screen, we didn't even think to eat, hardly.
Seriously.
We were just like, I have no idea what I'm watching, but this is the awesomest thing ever. And I'm so happy Twin Peaks is back, so yeah.
Oh, so happy.
At least that's how I felt anyway.
I will admit you were there, so you know that this happened, but I will admit to everybody out there in podcast land that as soon as the theme came on, I started to cry.
Right.
I just immediately started to cry. I was just, I'm so happy it's back.
See, now I know why you had it dark, so that you could cover that up.
Yeah,
So you wouldn't betray
the whole time.
your cool exterior.
Exactly. Yes, I didn't want anyone to know that I was going to be a blubbery mess.
As soon as, because there was that little pregnant pause before the credits, like before the theme hit. Like we saw images of the fountain, and I think that factory that was like an updated shot of the factory from the original credits.
Right.
And then the theme kicked in, and once it did, that was just like, I'm watching new Twin Peaks. This is the best thing ever.
Because the episode started with the scene from the last episode.
Right.
With Laura and Cooper, and Laura saying, "I will see you again in 25 years."
Right. And that was like the teaser for the episode. It was a recap teaser.
Or like Chris said previously on Twin Peaks.
Right. Which was pretty much, yeah. It was just the kind of nice way to go, hey, we set this up 25 years ago, and now here we are paying off, so...
We totally meant to do this.
Yeah, exactly. We totally planned this, and how great is that? So, yeah. But, I'm dying to know your thoughts, just in general, about what you watched on Sunday. Like your first reactions to it, apart from the tears, obviously.
Apart from the tears, my first reaction was the thing is that there are things that I want, but I also just wanted anything, so I wasn't really trying to expect anything.
Right.
So I was very, very happy with the episode. I was very happy with what I was seeing. I was happy that not only are we seeing older characters and people are coming back and we're seeing what happened to characters that we know and love, but we're also seeing new characters and getting new questions and new mysteries.
Yeah.
And that to me was very important, because you can't just have Twin Peaks be like the Twin Peaks reunion show. That'd be like a very Brady Christmas. That's 2 hours maximum where you find out what everybody's doing and then you're done. And I didn't want something like that. As much as I want Cooper to be okay, and as much as I want to know what's going on with everybody else, I want more story. I want another story to come out of this, and we're certainly getting that. So
I totally agree. Lynch could have very easily phoned it in, just set it up like a traditional TV reunion movie, like, the Brady Bunch now or what have you. But this is if there's a TV reunion movie, this is the place where it's farthest from. Yes, that's true. It is. I mean, Lynch, instead of phoning it in, Lynch goes, in my opinion, he goes full Eraserhead in these first two episodes. And, just, it's much more, I think the tone is completely different from the original series.
Yes.
I think it's darker, it's more serious. There's a lot of scenes where there aren't any Angelo Badalamenti music playing.
True.
And there are moments of humor, but they're a lot few and farther between the more dramatic scenes.
I don't think that the humor is as... Except for, of course, Lucy and Andy. I don't think the humor is as goofy.
Right.
There's none of the invitation to love kind of stuff yet, and
now, granted, that could come along later.
It could come along, but that's not going on right now.
But the tone that was set here doesn't really invite or seem to hint at that anyway.
Right. Right, and I'm assuming everything's going to come together, but if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Right.
Because that's the thing to remember about David Lynch, is that David Lynch doesn't always give you something linear and something that you're going to understand. He's going to give you a visual that he thought of, that he thought would be interesting in this scenario, and that's all you're going to get, really. I mean, they could be metaphors, they could be references to something later. They could be a lot of things, but you kind of just have to stop thinking about it and just let it happen. You have to just let it happen.
Or to quote MST3K, I should really just relax.
Really just relax. Or to quote The Big Chill, sometimes you have to just let art flow over you.
Exactly. I think if one of the things that struck me most of all with these first two episodes is that Mark Frost and David Lynch are just adamant about not bringing people up to speed. You have to know your Twin Peaks lore going in, or you're going to be completely lost with the return.
That's the thing. This is definitely, we said this about Firewalk with me too. This is for the Twin Peaks fan. This is not for somebody to come into. I think
it's like the advanced class.
I think you could, but
I think for the scenes of the new characters, you could.
Absolutely, I think you could absolutely, but I think the reason the older characters are there is for the longtime fans.
Right.
I'm sure that figuring out what's going on with Dale Cooper and Hawk is going to be a big part of that. And I'm sure that's going to be interesting. But unless you know why we're figuring that out, I don't think it's going to mean as much to you. But that's just me. Like I said, I've been watching this show for 27 years. So.
As have I. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, but it's definitely is for.
So you don't think it's impossible if you haven't watched the earlier stuff to watch this, but it's obviously going to enhance things a lot better.
I think it'll enhance things. I think you'll be more invested.
Right.
I think you'll be more invested as to why. Who is this crazy looking old man who lives in the woods?
Right.
Well, we know who he is. We want to know why he's there. We don't necessarily need to know who he is. That kind of thing. We're like on step 2 of the questions about this guy. Things like that, or why there are 2 guys that look like Kyle MacLachlan. Why is there 2 halves of one person walking around?
Right.
And we're interested into how that manifested, rather than who's that guy and what's the deal and is that his brother? I mean, we kind of know we kind of know what's going on, that we kind of know what happened, but we don't know what happened.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously feels like there's a 25-year gap of events that
of a bunch of stuff going on.
That need to be told.
Right.
And so we'll get into that obviously. Because so many questions that must be posed.
Yes.
All right, so let's get into the really heavy stuff. First topic I want to talk about: I am dead, yet I live. And this is obviously Cooper, Laura, and the Black Lodge.
Yes.
The stuff we've been waiting 26 years plus for. To
True.
See.
It's a little, I will say I'm a little concerned about it.
Right.
Because I thought the angels came and took Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Has she just been in there getting
older
this whole time?
Yeah.
I mean, just sort of the idea of Laura and Cooper in the lodge together for the last 25 years, just sort of being confused and tormented, is upsetting. But doppelganger. Is that really Laura? Is it?
Well, she doesn't have the cataract opaque eyes.
True, she doesn't. And did she also come back to the lodge? It's 25 years. Did she come back to the lodge? I mean, the lodge is...
You mean, did she leave the lodge for a while and then come back, is what you're saying?
Yes.
That's a good question. I hadn't really considered that.
We get information later in the episode that leads us to believe that the lodge is only open at certain times. And maybe she knew it would be open, and maybe she's here to help. Maybe she's here to help right the wrong that happened 25 years ago.
And we don't really know exactly how the lodge works, obviously, because they could be on different planes of existence within the lodge.
Right.
So maybe only now can they intersect and see one another.
Right, that's true too.
So yeah, we obviously, yeah, there's the mechanics of it. I think it's with David Lynch, yeah, the actual rules are going to be really hard to determine, but hopefully we'll get some answers, at least get a better idea of how all of this works. I'm hoping Mark Frost has some influence about that.
If we don't get more answers, we'll just at least get more of the story.
Yeah, we'll make up our own rules. But we started off here in the lodge with the Giant.
Yes.
Yes, who is now credited as question mark. It's
right.
Carol Strucken, sitting down with Cooper and having a nice black and white moment.
Yes, they are in black and white.
And the Giant tells Cooper to listen to the sounds. And there's a phonograph. And part of me has to wonder if that's the same phonograph that Leland was listening to.
Ooh.
The Pennsylvania 65000.
Yes, I never thought about that.
So I don't know. I don't know if that has any connection. Could be coincidental, but just something I thought of. And, when he killed Maddie. So,
yes.
And he says something about that it's in our house now.
In our house now.
So, like the Black Lodge has been infected with something, or
infiltrated, or
infiltrated.
Something,
yeah,
something's there. Something that's not supposed to be there is there.
Right. We have no idea what that is yet.
Nope.
But and then there's he talks about remembering 4:30 for some reason.
4:30 and Richard and Linda.
Yeah. Two birds with one stone, whatever that means.
We have...
But again, it's only episode 1, so...
We have no idea who Richard and Linda are yet.
Right.
I'm wondering if two birds, one stone has to do with the two Coopers.
That's possible.
I don't know.
But why, Richard... we obviously haven't met any characters named Richard or Linda yet, so...
No.
It's hard to say, or hard to say how that factors in just yet. But, and it's kind of not till later into the second episode where we really get to see Cooper again, and this is where Laura shows up.
Yes.
And they do this recreation of that scene 25 years ago, or 26 years ago, where Cooper had his dream in episode 3 of the original series, where he's sitting there as an old man and Laura Palmer is whispering into his ear.
Right.
And she leans in for a kiss.
And then she whispers something into his ear, and he sort of looks surprised, and we still don't know what that is. I mean, we know what she said to him before.
Right. I think this is something new she's telling him.
Totally new.
And
absolutely.
Because this time his reaction seems to be more like he's shocked or horrified by what she told him.
I think it seems a little scarier.
Yeah.
And, kudos to Kyle MacLachlan. He's nowhere near as wrinkly as they made him up to be in the original.
Well, you never know.
That's true. He's done good skincare.
Yeah, exactly. So. Well, Hollywood money, that tends to help with your skincare ritual.
Good job with the male skincare regimen, Kyle MacLachlan. You did good.
Exactly.
Good job.
Exactly. But and then Laura gets suddenly ripped out of the Black Lodge in a really disturbing moment.
That was very, very disturbing. She seems very much in pain and very much tormented by whatever's happening to her. And I don't know where she's going. I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
So
the vibe I got that maybe whatever's in the Black Lodge just ripped her right out of there,
perhaps
or
maybe
something outside the lodge. I don't know, but it seemed like it. Yeah, just like some. And Laura seemed like reacted to me at least that it was something she didn't want because she's screaming like all get out. So we get to hear
yeah,
Sheryl Lee's pipes once again.
her screaming again. Yes, which are still as horrific as they were.
Pretty much. But yeah, so then there's that. Um, and then we kind of focus back on Cooper after that, where he's talking with Mike, the one-armed man, and Mike introduces him to the evolution of
Yes,
the arm. And how freaky was that scene?
with
That was now
the
like
tree with the mashed potato face.
it's now like an electric tree with like a glob of meat or something on it on top.
It reminds this is a really obscure reference, but it reminds me of the mashed potato face that's on Julie Cruz's second record.
A lot of people made that
Did
comparison.
they?
Yeah.
That was my first thought. I'm like, I wonder if that's mashed potatoes. Yeah. But
I was just listening to that yesterday, by the way.
Oh, nice. I should dig those out too.
Yeah. I've been taking all my Twin Peaks and Julie Cruz albums to work to play as I've been working. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not sure. And this was one of those things I was talking about when it's David Lynch. You got to stop trying to figure out what the mashed potato face tree is,
right? And
just sort of listen to what it's telling you right now.
Yeah,
that's the important thing for the moment is what it's telling you.
Yeah. Well, I think obviously they had to come up with some kind of change to the arm, the little man from another place, because Michael Anderson.
And when you see me again, it won't be me.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, exactly. So that actually was set up unintentionally, but works out really well. That all of a sudden now, he looks a little different.
Really well.
Well, that was disturbing. What was that?
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea. But
that was very Black Lodge.
Yeah, that was very Black Lodge.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is that the is that tree thing, the man from another place, is Mike / Philip Gerard there as the new sort of keeper of the lodge. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of options.
Yeah. And the arm, the new evolved arm, asks Cooper if he remembers his doppelganger, so we get a nice little flashback to that. Which really freaked you out because your favorite character Bob pops up.
I was not expecting to see Bob. I wasn't sure how they were going to handle him, but there he was in a flashback, and I was not expecting that. That was
and you were all ah.
That was a little frightening. That was a little bit frightening when you're not expecting to see Bob.
Yeah, it is.
Because Frank Silva, unfortunately, has not been with us for like over 20 years. So, I was wondering what they were going to do about that sort of character, but I just assumed it, wasn't going to be him. So.
Right, like another actor.
Yeah, it might be something scarier or something different, but I didn't expect him to show up. So yeah, I did jump and scream a little bit when I saw him, just a little bit.
You were okay. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but it did take me by surprise. That is for sure.
Yeah, and the arm tells Cooper that that doppelganger has to come back into the lodge before he can go out.
Right. And so that's making me think that this is going to be some sort of Dark Crystal kind of thing. Mm. How the two, when
the Skeksis.
Oh, how does that go?
The Skeksis.
Yeah, when
the elder, like the elders converge. Is that what you think?
The great conjunction. When when what was sundered, now undone, the two now one. I can't remember the whole poem. I can't remember how it goes, but I think that that's what I'm wondering if it's going to be that they have to be there together, either for one to defeat the other or for both parts to be whole again.
Right.
So.
And then later on, Cooper sees Leland. So we get the return of Ray Wise very briefly.
Very briefly, but awesome to see him.
Not sporting white hair.
No, not sporting white hair, just looking kind of afraid.
Right. Yeah, and he tells Cooper to find Laura.
And Laura.
So he's tasking him with this.
Yes.
And yeah, so he's obviously concerned about his daughter, maybe, or this is obviously apparently the real Leland.
I'm assuming it's the real Leland because of the look of fear on his face and because of the lack of white hair.
Right.
That's my assumption, but who knows? I mean, there's a very good possibility that we're going to come back in a couple months and listen to this and be like, God, how did we miss that?
yeah, we could be completely wrong, and six episodes later, it's something completely different, and we'd be like, okay, we didn't see that coming. So yeah, all this great speculation that we're doing could be completely wrecked 6 episodes from now.
Completely worthless. Could be completely worthless.
So we'll see. So Cooper opens the curtain in the Black Lodge and he sees his doppelganger driving down a South Dakota road.
Yes.
Which we'll get into more later. And then in a scene that really disturbed me was we get introduced to the Arms doppelganger, which was really freaky. I mean, if you thought an electric tree with a meathead on top was freaky, this was even more freaky.
Like in a box of lightning.
Yeah.
With like kind of a body, kind of not a body, and then it kills you.
Yeah, and this doppelganger was angry as all get out.
Yes.
Yeah, he starts attacking Cooper or going after Cooper, and then in a really cool moment, the floor, that zigzag pattern of the Black Lodge floor, starts splitting up. And
right.
Like the black part would raise while the white part lowers, and vice versa. And it gets all it's almost like there's a earthquake going on inside the Black Lodge.
Right.
And that's kind of when the doppelganger arm, or the arm doppelganger, he just also horrifically calls Cooper non-existent.
Yeah.
And then flushes him down wherever. Like the floor opens up, and then Cooper ends up like spiraling, and then comes out in a glass box, which we'll get into next.
Right, the glass box. And he's just sort of there, just sort of floating, and then it gets smaller and bigger and smaller and bigger, and then he just sort of...
Then he gets flushed down again.
Yeah.
And then he ends up like he's going through like space or multiple dimensions, or we don't know what.
It looks very Twilight Zone.
Right. Yeah, it's obviously Lynch at his surreal best.
Very much so.
And as we know from watching episodes 3 and 4 early, spoilers, there's more of that.
It's streaming, guys. Watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't stand to wait, I will tell you though, if you watch them, it's going to make waiting for episode 5 like even harder.
Yes.
So.
Well, we are getting episode 3 and 4 on this coming Sunday, as we record this.
Oh, are they doing both?
Yeah, they're doing both of them. So the wait won't be as bad for episode 5.
That's good.
Yeah. That's something, right?
That is something, yes. It will make it hard, so watch them at your own risk. But they're out there. They are streaming on Showtime.
Yeah, on demand.
On demand, yes.
Yep. So that's kind of where we're left off with Cooper.
Right.
And that since I mentioned the glass box, that's where I wanted to go with my second topic. You're a bad girl, Tracy.
Try me.
Nicely played.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is Sam and Tracy, two new characters. Well, at least briefly, they're new characters.
Briefly new characters. And Sam has a job in a
Yes.
warehouse. And he's in college, so he just needs money for college. And he's in a warehouse that is guarded by security guards. And his job is to watch this glass box.
Right.
With cameras on it. And his job is to watch the glass box to see if anything appears in the glass box. And no one is allowed in there with him at any time, so he can't have visitors, or it's just him and the cameras in this room. And this is a mysterious project being funded by some billionaire. And we have no idea who this is.
This is a big question of
This is
the new season, or the new series, yeah.
Who is the billionaire that is setting this up? So, and Tracy...
And why?
Yeah, and why? What are they expecting to come through the glass box?
Right. It's almost like this is a study, and we find out later that it's connected to the Black Lodge.
We do, but who knows that?
Right.
Who knows to look for that, and who knows to set up this? Who set this up? How? And this is in New York City,
right?
Yeah, completely the other side of the country.
Yeah, that's one of the things of the new series. It's not just set in Twin Peaks or the surrounding area. It's scattered all over the country. We get here we get New York City, and in other scenes we get Las Vegas or in South Dakota, as we talked about. So the scope of the series has just grown.
It's following more the scope of the book of the Secret History.
Right.
So it's following more of that kind of a pattern. It's not just about...
Well, and it kind of makes sense that a lot of the characters wouldn't stay in the same place for 25 years. Especially Cooper's doppelganger, which we'll get into. Right,
Cooper's doppelganger. And however, a lot of the people that we've seen from the previous series have stayed in the same place.
Right.
So, their lives are a little different, but we can get into that later.
Yeah.
So anyway, Tracy likes Sam. So she comes up with coffees and wants to hang out. And can I go in there with you? No, you can't. And so then she tries another time, and he's like, where's the security guard? I don't know where he went. I don't know how you got in here.
Yeah, for some reason, everybody but Sam has disappeared.
And so, is that are they the canary in the coal mine or the rats on the sinking ship?
Right.
And so Tracy convinces him to let her come in and hang out with her. He's like, well, if he comes back, I don't know how you're going to get out. And that's not an issue.
Nope.
Because Tracy and Sam, they start making out and they start getting ready to have sex, and something comes into the glass box.
Yes. And Sam sees it first because Tracy has her back toward the box.
They're like on a sofa.
She's like on top of him. Yeah.
Yeah, she's straddling him, so her back is to the box. So Sam sees something come through, and it's this horrific naked slender man.
Yes, that's a great description.
The best way I can put it. And I'm not... It's like, I think I saw boobs, but I don't know what kind of genitals I saw.
It's almost like it's androgynous.
Yeah, I don't know if it has a gender. I don't know if it's supposed to be representative of someone we've already seen. I don't know exactly what it is.
I was thinking it might be connected to the armed doppelganger.
And that... I was thinking that too, because it is faceless.
Right.
And like I said, it kind of does look like Slender Man, like no face. And it comes out of the glass box and just kind of pecks them to death. It's just sort of this whirlwind of...
I thought it was more like a blender. Like it's this like whirling like a almost like the Tasmanian, yes, exactly, the Tasmanian devil, just spinning around and then just fraying them, slicing them up to bits,
whipping them off piece by piece.
Yeah. And
And
so
so,
it's this sudden, and it's this really horrific scene that they obviously probably could never get away with on network TV.
no, absolutely not. And I will say that so far, even though this is Showtime,
Yeah.
we haven't seen a ton of nudity.
Nope.
We've seen more gross than we have
Well,
naked.
I don't think at least the vibe I get is that, he's Lynch only wants to use that when it
Needs
tells
it.
he needs it, or it suits the story that he wants to tell.
Right. And I don't and I'm glad about that, because I think there are times
It's not
when
gratuitous all over the place.
it's not gratuitous, and I do think that there are times shows that are on premium cable channels like HBO or show.
Game of Thrones in
Game
particular.
of Thrones is what I'm thinking of. There is, I mean, there is a brothel in Game of Thrones. I expect to
Right.
see some boobies,
Yes.
but or even something
Like
on.
True Blood did it. I don't know if you
Uh,
watched it.
yeah, True Blood did it, but not as much. And I'm also thinking of something like Deadwood,
Right.
where
Yeah.
like every other word out of somebody's mouth was cocksucker.
Right.
Like, is this
Yeah.
because we're on cable, or did people really talk like that? And so I think sometimes those things really sort of put you out of something.
Yeah.
And I'm,
Like
and
it,
usually
like it was just oh, we're doing this simply because we can.
we can, exactly. And most of the time, nudity comes in conjunction with a sex scene.
Right.
And this is something about me that a lot of people know, and I've gotten some grief for it, and some people understand. I'm not a big fan of sex scenes in movies, depending on the movie. If it's a love story or something like that, that's fine. I mean, if it's porn, that's fine. But if I'm watching a mystery or anything that is, or some sort of suspenseful thriller or something like that,
Yeah.
I feel like a sex scene puts it on pause. And now this one, it was okay. It wasn't very long. It wasn't very gratuitous, and it was a way to make these two people extremely vulnerable to this thing. They're not going to get away.
Right.
Not only are they locked in this room with this blender monster, Blender Man. That's what
Yeah,
we'll call
that's a great name, Blenderman.
Blender Man.
Blender
They're
Man, yeah.
not only are they
Instead
trapped,
of Slenderman, yeah, it's going to be
yeah,
Blender Man.
Blender Man.
Yeah.
They're trapped in there. They're naked. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
They're not going to get anywhere. And so, I'm liking that I'm not. I am so anxious for the story of this show that if I had to watch a lot of sex scenes, I'd be like, all right, when are we done? And I'm feeling that way sometimes with scenes of driving or any scene that does go on. I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next?
Yeah. You're older now. You're more impatient.
Well, yes, and I've been waiting long enough. It's
exactly.
time.
Let's get to the good stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
one of the things. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I sometimes I find in suspense, mystery, or thriller things, I find sex scenes to be like putting the story on pause. And so I hope if we see more of this, it is something that ends with a story enhancer rather than just being there for the sex scene.
Right. Well, I think my take on it is that one of the common themes of Twin Peaks has always been sex turns into violence.
Yes, it does.
And I think this is the case here, where you had a young couple, and it turns right into a horror movie. It's like a horror trope, where the most horrible thing you can imagine comes out and kills you
while you're most vulnerable.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Or in the case of something like Fire Walk with Me, where if sex is your weapon, sometimes you can be told that somebody has a more deadly weapon than you.
Or there's power involved.
Or there's power involved. And I think that in a lot of Twin Peaks, the sex scenes are like that. So they are easier for me to take.
Right. Okay. So we talked about the anonymous billionaire. Um, apparently, the billionaire once saw what was something in the box, according to
Right.
Sam. According to Sam. But yeah, obviously their story, Sam and Tracy's story, comes to a quick end. I doubt we'll see them again.
I don't think we'll see them
But
again.
but
And
it's Twin Peaks, so who knows?
who knows? And that's the thing, is this billionaire trying to capture it or kill it or just trap it
Or
or
or try
study
to
it
or
or
try to get into the lodge like Wyndham Earl did.
exactly try and use it as a passageway? We don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know yet.
more questions, so many questions. All right, so let's next topic I want to talk about. I've got a plan for that one, and
Ah,
and that is Doppelganger Cooper.
Doppelganger Cooper,
Yeah,
who is so gross.
yeah. Well, it doesn't help that he looks like the Cooper version of Bob.
Yeah,
He
he's just
has the
gross.
long he has the long hair. He's got that tanned, leathery look about him, greasy
Got that
look.
leather look. He's
Yeah,
got that snakeskin shirt and that little clip in his hair. He's just
right.
disgusting.
Yeah. So yeah, leather jacket.
Yep, and he's just been up to no good for a while now. He's got
Right.
this ring of ne'er do wells that he's
Yeah.
associated with,
So yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. He's got two main associates, Ray and Daria,
Ray and Daria.
and it's
Yes,
Daria with a Y, not Daria like the animated series,
la
uh,
la 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 la.
which I know you're a fan of.
Oh, very big fan. Yeah, one of the best spin-offs of all time.
And we get a little side trip early on to this like really rundown house with some seedy looking characters.
Very David Lynch looking characters.
Exactly. And then we let's see. Yeah, like apparently they talk with a guy named Otis, and yeah, um, so um, we catch up more with that's kind of like almost like a tease with Doppelganger Cooper until what I have here is until the second episode where Doppelganger Cooper um, is confronts Bill Hastings' wife, Phyllis.
Yes, Bill Hastings. Let's let's
Yeah,
let's back up a little bit and
yeah we
talk
can
about.
we can go into that.
And this is, I think Doppelganger Cooper is what's going to connect everything
Right.
because of this.
And all of this is taking place in South Dakota, by the way.
South Dakota, and we start in an apartment building with a very, very with it together neighbor. There's a woman who walks by her neighbor's apartment, and it
Yeah.
smells really bad.
Or as I've been noticing, a lot of people have been calling her the dog lady
The dog lady, yes, she's
because,
walking up
like
the
the log
dog.
lady, it's the dog lady.
She's the dog lady. She's the log lady is much more she's much more comprehensible,
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah, she's as quirky and offbeat as the log lady
She makes a
is.
lot more sense.
Yeah, well, yeah. This one, yeah, because apparently the dog lady, yeah, just isn't really dialed in on what's going on.
She's not really dialed in what's going on, but we finally figure out that the dog lady has the key to this apartment because she's supposed to be watering the plants. She's called the cops. The cops are looking for a way in.
Right.
She's not sure who the names of people are, so they
There's
go
like this
in.
big. She has this big. There's this big smell that she's concerned about what's going on inside the apartment of this woman named Ruth Davenport.
So they go into Ruth Davenport's apartment, and they find Ruth Davenport's head with what looks like the eye shot out of it from the back.
Right.
And the reason I'm thinking of that is because we see later that that's how Doppelganger Cooper kills people. So that's why I'm assuming that it was shot from behind.
Right.
But that's not her body. It's somebody else's body. It's a male body. So
It's a female head, her Ruth's head on a male body. So like
yeah,
her head is severed. It's kind of resting there on the pillow. And
right.
when the cops come, they pull back the blankets, and there's some dude's body
We have no idea who that
like
is.
Like an older guy, apparently, too.
Like an older guy, he's kind of overweight or he's been there a while, so he's bloated.
Right.
I don't know. So, I just thought of something.
Yes. What did you just think of?
Is that Major Briggs' body?
Oh, I hope not.
I hope not too.
I hope not.
But they can't.
That would be an interesting.
That would be interesting.
That's a really good theory.
I'm just thinking older, heavyset guy, somebody that was last seen with Cooper. And
no, we don't have any inside knowledge because of episodes 3 and 4.
No, we don't. But I'm just thinking about the book and how Cooper. The last time anybody saw Cooper was when he was supposed to meet up with Major Briggs.
Right.
And then Cooper goes. Major Briggs ends up dead.
Yeah, well, that's true, but we don't know Bobby. Well, I can't get into this just yet because it's not episode 3.
No, we're not going to do it. No, okay. We're not going to talk about Judy. Yep. We're going to leave her out of it. Okay.
Nice, very nice.
So anyway, I'm just thinking older guy, heavyset.
Yeah, it could be.
If we're thinking that Doppelganger Cooper is involved in this, it could be Major Briggs. Anyway,
without going into it, I have to think that Major Briggs was killed a while ago. If he was killed.
True.
So my question would be, how did they preserve the body?
Good question. I don't know. It just popped in my head.
If it's Major Briggs, that's the only reason
popped in my head. I probably am totally wrong. But so anyway, the police in South Dakota, they can't figure out who that body is. His prints don't match. So he's a John Doe.
Right.
But there's other prints around the house. And that is Bill Hastings.
Yeah, apparently his fingerprints are like all over this room. House.
He is the principal of the high school.
Right.
And the cops, of course, know him, so they arrest him, and
they show up, like his wife answers the door, Phyllis.
Phyllis, we have dinner guests coming.
Yeah, she says this great line as he's getting arrested, but the Morgans are coming for dinner.
The Morgans are coming.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the point where you call the Morgans and say, we're going to have to cancel.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But as we find out, Phyllis isn't exactly broken up over her husband getting arrested.
No, she's not, because we find out that he's actually been having an affair with Ruth Davenport.
Mm-hmm.
So that could explain why his prints are there, and he tells her that he wasn't there, but he had a dream that he was.
Right.
And so we're not quite sure what's going on with him either. What's his deal? Was he there? Was he not there?
My theory is that now this character, Bill Hastings, he's played by Matthew Lillard.
Yes.
Who's Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo movies. Little FYI. And also the Scream movies.
In the first Scream movie, yes.
Yeah. But obviously got a little range to him. And he had this really odd look about him that kind of resembled, at least from what I could tell, a lot like Leland Palmer.
A lot like Leland Palmer, yeah.
That kind of like, I'm not sure what's going on. I've lost, it feels like I'm in a dream, like I don't remember. And
right. He'll have these moments of looking really scared, and then these other moments of looking like where he just has his head in his hands and he's just tapping his forehead over and over and over again.
Yeah.
This sort of obsessive compulsive
just behavior. This really odd behavior that just resembles Leland to me.
And then when his wife confronts him about having the affair with Ruth Davenport, he gets really nasty with her and tells her that, I know you've been having an affair with our attorney. And so he's doing that Leland thing too, where he's just turning on a dime emotionally. So
this gives me a question, because at the end of the original series finale, we saw Bob inside Cooper.
Yep.
But from seeing Doppelganger Cooper, it doesn't appear as Bob is in him. It's the Doppelganger.
See, that's one. So
I don't know. I mean, it seemed like they're two separate entities.
It sort of seems like that to me too, and I'm wondering about it because, of course.
So then I have to wonder if Bill is possessed by Bob. Has Bob moved on from Cooper to Bill Hastings?
And that's the thing. I mean, what is this, like I was saying before about the Dark Crystal. When one becomes the Triple Sun,
Yes.
what was severed and undone shall be whole. The two now one. I just remembered it. Okay.
It just finally it clicked. You just needed a few minutes to let it simmer and build up.
I had to let it percolate in there.
Yeah.
So,
there's no fish in there, was there?
There's no fish in there.
No fish in the percolator.
Nope. So, and if you'll notice, Doppelganger Cooper's eyes are just totally black.
Yeah, these little beady black eyes.
Yeah, these little black eyes, and
like he's a Funko figure.
Yeah. They're planning that. Spaceballs the merchandising. Anyway.
Yep.
For those of you who haven't seen the Dark Crystal, number one, do it. Number two,
right? Especially now that they're coming out with new Dark Crystal.
Oh, I can't even stand it. That's like as exciting as this. So, in the Dark Crystal, there are these two races, the Skeksis and the Mystics.
Right.
And we find out, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie that 1,000 years ago they were the same beings. They were the crystal cracked, and they were split into two different beings, the good and the evil.
Right.
So is that what's happening to Cooper? There's his good side and his evil side, and
maybe that's what the Lodge does. It splits you.
Maybe the Lodge splits you. Maybe when Cooper spent all that time with Bob, he completely split. Maybe that's what Bob did when he took his body out of the Lodge.
Right.
He took his body and his bad side and left his good side in there. Because that's another thing too. I mean, we never saw, or at least I don't think there ever was, a version of Leland just sitting there in the waiting room waiting for Bob to bring his body back.
No, all we saw was in the original series finale, we saw Doppelganger Leland saying, I did not kill anybody. Yeah, that. So if this is the real...
I feel like there might be more to...
We know there's a Doppelganger Laura. So apparently, you go into the Lodge and then there's... somehow you get separated into your good self and your doppelganger self.
That's my first thought, but again, I could be wrong. This is David Lynch. It could be way less linear than that, or it could be way more complicated.
Who knows?
We'll find out.
Yep.
So,
or maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah.
We may not.
Anyway, back to Phyllis.
Yeah.
Basically tells Bill where he can stick it.
Yeah. Apparently, they've been both having extramarital affairs.
Yes. She runs into their lawyer, who we've already determined she's having an affair with, right. And she says, he knows, don't walk me out, meet me at my place later. And when she gets home, evil Cooper is waiting for her.
Yes.
And she goes to run from him, and he shoots her in the back of the head.
Yep. Well, he shoots her dead in the eye. So again, like right. Ruth Davenport.
Right. But she's turned around, so he gets her like through the back of the head,
right.
In the eye. So.
Yep, and he makes a comment that she followed human nature perfectly.
Yes. Yes, and
implying that he's not human.
Yes, implying that he's still learning what humans do.
Right. And
they're what makes them good and what makes them bad, and she's. And this is a typical trope that we see in a lot of stories of people from other dimensions and other worlds, that humans in general are just really disappointing jerks.
Well, hey, come on. How many humans do you know that are disappointing jerks just to humans? So imagine another like other dimensional being encountering humans and like, right. Wow, what a letdown.
Exactly. This is, we've seen this in the Abyss, in My Stepmother is an Alien, in The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. There's that trope of like, your species is too too primitive to it's Star Trek, Claim 9 from Outer Space. There's so many of these things, or your species is too primitive and too warlike to be allowed to survive.
Yeah, we get it all the time, and a lot on Doctor Who, too.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, let me show you this one nice thing that I've done. Oh, okay, well, you've saved humanity. And so, but that is a common trope, that humans are, to quote Lex Luthor, people are no damn good.
Nice Gene Hackman reference.
They will always need land.
Yep.
But
land. Yeah.
So yeah, she's just sort of proving the point that humans are jerks.
Yeah.
And she's fulfilled all the expectations.
Yeah, well, Doppelganger Cooper is not exactly above being a jerk himself.
No, he's not exactly a nice guy.
Yeah, because he chokes this guy named Jack, who saw him wiring a car.
Yes, Jack and Daria. He takes Jack and Daria with him, and they are plotting against him together.
Yeah.
And
Ray, you mean Ray? Jack was like the garage guy.
Yes, I'm thinking of Ray. Yes.
Yeah, Ray's the other one.
They're all sort of plotting against him.
Yeah, apparently there's the three of them were hired to kill Doppelganger Cooper.
Daria doesn't know who it is, though.
Right. Yep.
Because
Cooper, the doppelganger, finds out about it.
So he kills Jack.
Ray is supposedly arrested.
And then he's going to kill Daria. He's with Daria, and she's trying to get away, and he's going to kill her.
Right.
But first, he asks her.
That was a really horrific scene.
That was a horrific scene.
Where he's basically he's got all the power over her. He's stronger than her. She knows he could kill her at will.
And again, she's in her underwear. She's
right.
Totally vulnerable. Even if she gets away, she doesn't have shoes on or anything like that. It's going to be difficult for her
right.
to get away. And he asks her, did he say anything about coordinates?
Yeah.
And she says, I don't know what that is. And he says, geographical coordinates, like on a map. And of course, she doesn't know. So he's looking for where to go. He's being drawn to something and needs to know where to go.
And the question is, what is he being drawn to?
And that's the thing.
And why?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, why does he feel like he needs to go there? What is it? Who is this guy that wants to kill him?
Right. Now, someone who claims to be Philip Jeffries calls him up and to say that Major Briggs is taking him back to the Black Lodge.
But he doesn't just call him up. He has this like box he has to plug in to talk to Philip.
Yeah, it's like a special phone, like he carries in a briefcase.
It's like some weird spirit box or something.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Philip Jeffries is.
I was just thinking it was more like a satellite, type, like something that couldn't be traced, because it's not like a.
It could be, but yeah, it could very well be. But where the hell is Philip Jeffries?
Yeah, it's not like a cell phone, like something really small and portable. It's like this big briefcase full of something.
Right, that's the thing. But no one's seen Philip Jeffries since 1989.
Right.
So
maybe it's like an old phone that's the only thing that can talk to Philip Jeffries.
Something like that, or like in Tron Legacy, you have to have the old pager because
yes, exactly.
1989 technology.
Nice.
So, but
nice,
yeah, so
nice reference, by the way.
Thank you. Philip Jeffries is back in the picture.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
And who's playing Philip Jeffries? I'm dying to know that.
God only knows, because it sure is not David Bowie.
Right. Or is it actually Philip Jeffries and not someone pretending to be Philip Jeffries?
The long lost Philip Jeffries.
Yes.
I hope we'll find out.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll see. So that's kind of... Oh, and then Doppelganger Cooper hooks up with Jennifer Jason Lee in the next room.
Gross. Just gross.
Who's got like a hotel room full of Cheeto bags.
Yeah, she's just been living in there, like getting high and eating snacks.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And he tells her like they have to be in a certain place in a few days.
They have to be in a certain place in a few days. And I will say Jennifer Jason Lee looked fantastic, because we were all watching it. We're like, wow, that kind of looks like Jennifer Jason Lee,
right.
Like a young Jason Lee. And then we were like,
yeah, we saw the credits. We saw the credits, and we were like, oh, it actually was Jennifer Jason Lee.
Wow, she looks fantastic.
Yep.
And she looks fantastic, and she's always good. She's always I like her very much. She's in some of my favorite movies. One of them, of course, being The Hitcher, one of the
Right.
scariest movies I've ever seen in my life.
Or more recently in The Hateful Eight.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. I was tense and on the edge of my seat every minute of The Hitcher. If you guys haven't seen that and you like horror movies, I definitely recommend it. Um,
And my favorite movie of hers is The Hudsucker Proxy.
oh, a Muncie Girl. I love that's
She,
a great movie.
she's a fast talking career gal.
She is today's career gal. He's a complete moron, but
Or
yeah,
essentially like she's almost like the live action version of the 1940s Fleischer or the Siegel and Schuster Lois Lane.
yes, exactly.
I
So
mean, like if they were casting that, that
that
would be
yeah, that's
perfect. Like if they were casting a live action version of the old Fleischer Superman
hmm
cartoon shorts, that's
that
who
would
you'd want to get.
that's who you yeah, totally. So yeah, that's a fantastic movie too. Very underrated Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, it's one of the like my little cult classic faves.
Yes, that's a great movie. Um, and that scene is just gross because
For kids.
for kids. It's called the Buzz Sucker. But the scene with Jennifer Jason Leigh and Cooper is just so gross because
See, I wouldn't even want to call him Cooper. That's why I want to refer to him as Doppelganger because it's like this is not my Cooper,
no, not my hashtag, not my Cooper.
not my Cooper. Thank you.
Um, I
Yeah,
he's just so crass
it's
and
seedy.
nasty
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ugh. And there's really disgusting Foley in this. I don't even want to talk about it.
All right. We can move on.
But you guys know what you guys if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. When you get there, you're just going to be
Yeah.
oh.
Ew. Yeah. Okay. All right. So just abort. We'll move on. All right. So next topic, I'm going to talk about the stars turn and time presents itself,
Mm,
which is the most heartbreaking of the original cast to come back. The Log
yes,
Lady
Catherine Coulson.
and Catherine Coulson in her last appearance here in return. Hopefully, she'll be in more episodes. But
I hope so. She still is doing a great job. She sounds wonderful, but she does look very sick. She looks very frail and very sick.
and the oxygen she's wearing is probably her actual oxygen
Probably her actual
because her
oxygen.
hair is falling out.
Yes,
And yeah,
but
it's heartbreaking to me to see this.
it's very heartbreaking. But she is still just so sweet and beautiful,
Yeah,
and she's still just there with a log and
yeah,
still just trying to give messages from her log to who needs to hear them.
yeah. So I want to talk about her and Deputy Chief Hawk,
Deputy Hawk,
who's now apparently got a promotion from deputy to deputy chief.
Deputy Chief, yes.
So apparently he's above Andy now,
Well, as well he should be, and
which he kind of was anyway in the original series, but now I think it's official.
I think it's official. Yeah. Well, and also, we'll find out later that there's more people working there now. So
Yeah, apparently the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department has grown considerably since the original series.
I think. Well, I think after what happens with Laura and the Renault brothers, you need more cops in that damn town.
Apparently so. Yes. Apparently they're like, okay, we have ourselves a tendency for a lot of crime here. Okay, maybe
Oh,
we
a lot of crime
better
going on.
maybe we better bring in some more staff.
Yes, exactly.
So
So, yes,
and as
she.
episode 3, or is it 3 or 4, has a very surprising revelation of one of the new officers, but we're not going to talk about that just yet.
We're not going to talk about Judy.
We're not going to talk about Judy.
We're going to leave her out of it.
Yep.
So the log lady calls up Hawk and tells him that something is missing, and it has to do with Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Right.
And Hawk is going to be the one to figure it out because it has something to do with his heritage.
Right.
So, what does that mean?
Well, as we find out later, Hawk ends up taking a trip out to Ghostwood Forest. So,
And what is
Ghostwood shout out, y'all.
Ghostwood? And you know what it's not?
What?
Condos.
Yeah, it's
It's not
true.
condos.
Not entirely. Yeah, we don't know how much of the forest has been
Yeah.
developed, but
Or
yeah,
if they were able to stop it or what. But yeah,
yeah.
it's not
At
condos.
the very least, they stayed away from a certain sycamore grove.
They sure did. And Hawk is out there, and
Yeah,
what does he find?
yeah.
A little stone enclosed pond full of dark
And
sludge.
I had this like pit in my stomach the moment I saw the sycamore trees,
Uh huh.
because it was just one of those, like, it's coming,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's there right in
And
front of
it's
your
like,
face.
oh,
You're like, oh, he's
oh,
there.
we found it.
So yeah, and then he starts seeing the curtains. So this kind of means, I'm guessing, because of, obviously they imply that with Hawk's Native American background and heritage, that
Hmm.
maybe he's sensitive to the mysticism involved.
Right. And you can tell by the look on Hawk's face because Hawk is a man of few words,
Right.
usually. Um, tell by the look on his face, he knows he's looking.
Speaking of being a
He's
few
seen this
words,
before and he knows and what's going on. And that's a problem.
yeah, just a bit. So I have to wonder. I'm hoping this means that the way this story, like if the subplot goes, I'm hoping that Hawk is the one that kind of figures out what happened to Agent Cooper all those years ago.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's the one who pieces it together.
I would like that. I think Hawk needs his day
Yeah,
for sure.
I do too. And I mean, he seems to, like, they bring out, because of what the log lady um, called him about. They bring out these old file boxes, the storage out of storage, and
How
archive boxes.
if it's not here?
Yep. So yeah, that was a great line. And so
Yeah.
they spread them out on the big table, and they start going through things, and so yeah, it just seems like he's the one that's going to piece this together.
I hope so. I hope so. He's very smart and he's been around and he knows a lot about this town. He knows a lot about the woods.
And he knows about, like, Cooper, and so yeah, he's obviously probably knows some secrets.
He does. He does.
He
he's
he
been
knows where the bodies are buried.
he's been in this area his whole life. He's a bookhouse boy. He knows what's going on.
Right. So let's see what else. So let's see. I think, and then yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for Hawk Story, though. At
That
least
is
for now. For now. But yeah, it was. I like, and I kind of like the fact that the relationship that apparently has grown between the log lady and Deputy Hawk.
yes. I like that too. That they're
It's
both
This, like, a friendship,
this friendship because they're both sort of mystical.
spiritual.
Yeah, they're sort of mystical. And there's even that scene where he's walking through the
Like,
woods.
they get each other.
Yeah, they get each other. And the scene where he's walking through the woods and she calls him and says, "Where are you now?" And he says, "Once again, your log and I are on the same track."
Right.
So they've obviously talked like this before. And he even said, she's never been wrong. She's never steered me wrong. So let's look through these files and see what's going on. And so they've obviously talked before, and they've obviously gone through some things before and dealt with whatever the log has told her.
The thing I loved was the moment where the log lady tells Hawk, "Are you coming by? I've got pie and coffee."
I have pie and coffee. She says, "I'm too weak to join you, but
Right.
stop by.
Right.
I have pie and coffee."
Yeah, I just love that the fact that they felt comfortable enough. Like,
Yeah, they're just gonna hang out and talk about what they need to talk about.
right.
So
So yeah,
I think that's a lovely little friendship that's going on there.
yeah. So I'm hoping we get more log lady scenes.
I hope so too. And if we don't,
If we don't, that was great. At
at least
least.
we got this.
At least we got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was,
And this shows you that because if you'll remember, this has been in the works for a long time, and there was a point where David Lynch pulled out for a while,
right.
and then he was back
Because
in.
he wasn't happy with the number of episodes that Showtime was giving him. He wanted more, and
more creative control. There were a lot of things. So
right.
Some stuff could have been filmed a long time ago, so we could be in for some surprises as to who we're seeing.
Right.
But, who knows? So we might have some more Log Lady. Who knows? That could have been.
Yeah, we don't know what footage is out there to be what's on the table, what's fair game. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Catherine Coulson has been friends with David Lynch for almost 50 years at this point.
Right.
They were good friends, and she was married to Jack Nance.
That's true.
At one time, and so
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she was there when they made Eraserhead. So she's been with him his entire career. So the odds of them being in touch and talking about this a lot are very good.
All right. So the only other topic I had was James is still cool. He's always been cool. And this is essentially where we had a lot of little small scenes with a lot of the various Twin Peaks characters. So I kind of wanted to group them together.
Let's group them together. Let's start.
So we could start off like chronologically. We could start off with Dr. Jacoby.
Dr. Jacoby, who I did not know that was him when we first saw him, until he pulled the Robert Stack and took his sunglasses off, only to reveal another pair of glasses.
Yeah.
And then when it was the 3D glasses, I just went, oh!
Yep. And he's apparently still wearing them.
He's still wearing them. He's living out in the woods doing something, getting deliveries, doing something.
Yeah, he's getting a bunch of shovels.
We don't know that yet.
So he gets no. I thought they bring out the shovels. But we don't know what he does with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not jumping far ahead.
Okay, all right, good.
So he does get the shovels. We just don't know what he does with them.
Yes.
Yet.
So, and then so he's the first one we see. We don't hear much. We just see him getting the delivery.
Yeah, he's like he's got this shed or something out in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's in Twin Peaks or Ghostwood or what.
Who knows?
Where he is.
Yeah, who knows what it is.
Where in the world is Dr. Jacoby?
Exactly. Don't make me sing that song because I will do it.
I was hoping. I was trying to work that.
Keep it up. There you go. That's all you're going to get.
All right. So next we get...
Horns.
What?
We see the horns.
Yes, that's what I want to get to next. So yeah, we get Ben and Jerry. The return of Ben and Jerry.
Now here is one of the most hilarious, fitting things that I think has happened to a character so far.
Which is?
Jerry Horn.
Right.
Is growing legal weed. It's Washington. He can't.
It's very fitting.
He's tripling their price.
He's basically like an old hippie at this point.
He's an old hippie. He's wearing like North Face clothes and eating weed infused banana bread.
Right. With
long hair, long beard. And he's still kind of a cad.
He's almost like he's got a little bit of a bohemian look to him.
Yes. Is that Mother's hat?
Yeah. Is he wearing like a beret or something? I can't remember.
He's wearing like a knitted
or one of those knitted skull cap thing. Yeah.
And and Ben Horn asked him, "Is that Mother's hat?"
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that's exactly what he would be doing. I have a feeling that the second weed was legal in Washington State, that's what Jerry Horn was learning how to make money off of. And he's
probably eating a lot of brie and cheese sandwiches.
Well, with a special kind of tapenade on it. And he says he's tripling their revenue. So, good for Jerry. And now Ben, this is interesting. Ben seems like less of a cad that he used to be because there's a young woman that works at the hotel, comes in, and
Beverly. Apparently, he has an assistant.
Yes. And Jerry's making some comments about her, and he says, please, RESPECT. And so he's a little more respectful towards women and not as much of a womanizer. But he's back on cigars.
Right. Yeah, he's ditched the carrots.
He's ditched the carrots, and he's back on cigars. So what does that mean?
Yeah, and his assistant, Beverly, is played by Ashley Judd.
Yes, Ashley Judd. And I'm getting the feeling that there are a lot of people. You're going to see a lot of cameos of people you recognize.
Right.
Like I said, in this episode alone, there's Ashley Judd, there's Matthew Lillard, there's Jennifer Jason Leigh. I have a feeling that there are a ton of people that were like, dude, there's the Twin Peaks. You got to get me in that. You got to get me in that show.
I'm sure.
I'm sure that's...
Or Lynch just went down his wish list and called people up and they're like, yes, hell yes, I'm doing this.
Yes, I don't care if it's one line.
Right.
Get me out there. I'm going to do this.
Yep.
So the Horns are still a family. They're still working together. We've only seen the two of them. We haven't seen Sylvia, Johnny, or Audrey yet.
Right.
So
We haven't gotten to catch up with Audrey, although we know she's coming.
We know she's coming because we know she's in it.
Right.
But that's about it. And then, of course, the police force.
Yes. We shift over to the police department.
We see that Lucy Moran is now Lucy Brennan.
Right.
Who... So she and Andy are married.
Yay. So and they have a 24-year-old son
named
Wally.
He was born on the same day as Marlon Brando.
Right.
So Andy's very proud of that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we see Hawk and the Log Lady. We've already talked about them. And then we see, and this is depressing, we see Sarah Palmer.
Yes, we see Sarah Palmer toward the end. Yeah. So,
go ahead.
Just go ahead. You can set it up. You were going.
In her house, by herself at night, smoking like a chimney.
Right. So nothing has changed there. Drinking
like a fish, and watching nature shows where big cats just tear the hell out of
really violent nature shows.
Really violent.
Sitting there in the dark with this big ass TV.
One of those huge, like 65-inch televisions.
Yeah, and the image is reflecting in the mirror behind her.
Yeah. What animal were they eating? I don't remember.
It was like lions or like something. They were
some big cats eating something alive, like an impala or something. Like that.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. It's probably like a antelope or something. Who knows?
Yeah, just eating it while it's still alive, and she's just really captivated by this.
See, I was kind of wondering at that scene. I was waiting for like, okay, are we gonna get a vision? Is she gonna have one of her visions all of a sudden?
Right.
But not yet. Not yet.
But no, and I think it's just to sort of set up that. I think they're sort of gradually setting up for us who's still around.
Right.
And sort of what everybody's doing now, and then we get to the Roadhouse.
Yeah,
and that's
kind of like our final scene of episode 2 of the premiere.
Yes, of the premiere.
So yeah, we kind of catch up with various people that from the original series, like Shelley and James. And
Shelley is just having a girls' night. She apparently has a daughter who Shelley thinks is
named Becky.
Becky, who's dating the wrong guy.
Right.
And obviously Shelley's worried because Shelley has dated the wrong guy. She knows.
Oh, did she?
Oh, did she? Yeah. And so she knows to think, hey, something's wrong. I'm worried. And her friends are like, oh, well, it's her life. She's like, but I know her and something's not right. And then.
So is Becky Bobby's daughter?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
Or Leo's.
I don't think it's Leo's because I think if she. Well, now, I mean, I seriously doubt she took Leo back.
Right.
And if she had been pregnant with Leo's baby, one of two things would have happened. When he put her in the hospital, she probably would have lost it.
That's a good point. And
even if that didn't happen, I think it was too long. We would have known by now.
That's true.
We would have known by now.
But Bobby is certainly a possibility.
Bobby's a possibility, or, who knows? Yeah, who knows? Who knows? So we'll find out. Hopefully. And then in walks James Hurley.
Yes.
Who I just, my hope is that he's taken over the gas farm, or he's part owner of the gas farm now or something, or he's got a motorcycle shop or something like that. But he's still James. He's still black leather jacket. And apparently, according to Shelley, he did have a motorcycle accident.
Yes.
So I think we'll learn more about that. And he's with a younger guy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's James's son, maybe.
Or just some guy that, works with him. Like I said, if he's got a motorcycle shop or if he's working at the gas farm.
Right.
Is that somebody who works for him? I don't know. But he and Shelley seem to be giving each other interesting looks.
Well, Shelley makes a comment that her friend, like James was looking at her friend.
True.
But I thought that James was actually looking at Shelley.
I thought so too, because Shelley's looking at James like, and I don't want to say it's like a longing kind of a look or any sort of,
like a nostalgic look, maybe.
It's like a nostalgic, like, how you doing, man?
Right.
Like, hey.
Yeah. I know you from back in the day.
And she says, James is still cool. He's always been cool. And so obviously Shelley does have a soft spot for him. And of course, we forget that Shelley is like the same age as Laura and James and Donna, but she just dropped out of high school. She dropped out of high school to get married.
Right.
So I think she's maybe a year ahead of them or something in school, but they all did go to high school together.
Obviously, especially now that they're older, they're kind of in that same age bracket. So
right.
It's possible that James and Shelley could hook up.
Who knows? And there's also, Shelley is very close with Norma.
Right.
And maybe Norma and Ed finally got to be together. And of course, James being Ed's nephew.
That's true.
Maybe they're all close, like family. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know yet. It's still to be determined. But...
Right. But that's who we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So.
And then we get something that, as we know from watching episodes 3 and 4, kind of becomes a common theme. Where every episode is ending with the Roadhouse Band.
Right.
In this case, the Chromatics.
Yes.
Doing the song Shadow.
Yes,
which I thought was a great way to end the premiere.
Right. And so I think we're going to have quite the soundtrack when we're done here.
Yeah. And
yeah,
apparently we're going to get 2 soundtracks. We're going to yes, so yeah, we're actually going to get a soundtrack of the music and then of these, I think, the bands, and then we're also going to get a score album. So yes. I'm really excited by that. So it's just
I'm really excited about
2
that too.
new albums to add to the collection.
And this will be a great way to, introduce people to new music and introduce new people to Twin Peaks through the new music. So I'm excited. I like how this is going, how that pattern is going to go.
And until that comes out, though, I'm downloading MP3s and building my own temporary soundtrack until the real one comes out.
Yes, everything's so far has been.
So I can have my Twin Peaks playlist updated.
So awesome.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was a great way, and we get some great, it seems like every episode that features characters or actors that are no longer with us, we're getting tributes, which is always lovely.
Yes. We had this one was
Catherine Coulson and Frank Silva.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So.
So that.
Yeah. So I know that it's kind of interesting, and it's almost like it felt like for me this scene. I think Lynch wants to end these episodes on a much more upbeat note because these episodes are darker, but instead of ending with the cliffhanger, like the original series pilot, we had that really where Sarah wakes up and she had that vision of Laura's necklace being found by Dr. Jacoby, but. Yeah, we don't get it's completely different here in the new series.
It is, and I wonder too that since it always comes back to the Roadhouse,
right?
Is this a way of saying all roads lead back to Twin Peaks?
That might be a metaphor. Yep.
So I don't know, it always comes back home.
If nothing else, we're getting cool music, and that's awesome.
We're getting very cool music, and I'm liking that.
Yeah, I am too. All right, so is there anything else about the premiere you want to talk about?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, we did. We covered a lot of ground. There was a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack, and there's just so much visually to look at, and it was just so great to see everybody again, but then to also have new stories come up that you're interested in. You want to know how they fit into this world and how they're going to resolve. And
it wasn't just a nostalgia fest.
no, it was not at all. It was not at all. It was more a new show with bits of nostalgia.
Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree.
And perfect amount peppered in.
Yeah, I'd say that the wait was worth it.
Well, yes, I would say that too.
But
If I had
again, we're still early in. But
if I had to do over again, I'd rather have waited just 10 years. But
yeah, I think that's a given. Okay, granted, I'll give you that one.
well, yeah, but
Right.
I will say that I do. I'm one of those geeks that's a real stickler for detail.
Right.
So I do like the fact that I'll see you again in 25 years is happening.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
No, none of us really expected that to actually happen.
No,
Especially after the first 5 or 10 years, where we got nothing.
Yeah,
and we're
exactly.
like, okay, when you just kind of faded, and you're like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if? And then if became when.
If became when, or we were thinking like, okay, maybe they'll do a movie or some sort of internet thing or something like that. But no, we're getting a series. We're getting a whole series, and it's going to be great.
Yeah. All right. So, do you have a rating for this episode?
I am going to give this episode 10 out of 10 Blendermans.
Ooh, very nice. You really like this premiere.
I really, really liked this premiere because it did what TV shows are supposed to do, which is make me come running back for more.
Right. For me, I really liked it too. I'm not going to give it a 10.
Okay.
But I thought it was a very strong opening.
Mm-hmm.
And I give it 9 out of 10 electric trees.
Ooh, pretty good. I like that.
So, yeah.
What made it lose a point for you?
I would say that I thought the pacing, Lynch always has pacing issues.
It is a little slow sometimes.
So that's the only thing. There was a lot of stuff. We got a lot thrown at us. But I think it's still early because there's so many questions. So I'm kind of leaving some room.
Okay.
So we'll see. But I thought it was a really strong return. Very happy with it. And
yes.
I liked it a lot. So so next time we're going to talk about episodes 3 and 4.
Yay!
Which we've talked about. We've already seen. And if you're a Twin Peaks geek, you've probably already seen as well.
You've probably seen it too.
But considering we've talked about this for an hour and a half, we're gonna take a little break. Hope you understand.
Yeah, we're gonna take a little break.
Especially if there's people that are actually watching it on Sunday nights.
Those of you who have the patience of Job.
Yeah, I am not one of. Yeah, I am not one of those. Neither is Xan. So.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope. But so our spouses will be surprised on Sunday.
Mine won't.
Oh, yours won't. Okay. So Chris watched with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So because Lori was just like, I can wait. I don't know. No rush.
Lori's time.
But here I am staying up late after she goes to bed, and then I'm watching some, and then I would finish it the next morning.
Uh-huh.
And then do the next episode the next night, and do the same thing the next morning after that. So, yeah. All right. So, we're going to talk about 3 and 4. We get to introduce to Mr. Jackpots. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Mr. Jackpots.
Mr. Jackpots.
Mr. Jackpots.
Yeah. So, and obviously more with what happens to Cooper and... after he gets...
Hey, Charles.
Yes?
How would you greet Mr. Jackpots if you saw him? What would you say?
I would say, hello!
It's a little teaser for the episode if you haven't seen it yet.
Exactly. I hope he did that justice.
Hello!
I could belt it out a little more, but Lori would be like, I was probably already going upstairs. She's upstairs, and she'd probably be like, what is going on downstairs? What are they doing? So, yeah. All right. So, Xan, people wanted to reach you on the interwebs. Where could they reach you?
Interwebs?
Yes.
I am on Facebook, Xan Sprouse. and I am on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
As Udenax19.
Yes.
And Google Plus is Udenax19, but I never check that. So Twitter's probably the best way to find me.
Right. I would agree.
Yes. What about you, Charles?
And you're awesome. On the Twitter machine, I might add. Obviously, me, at Charles Skaggs, on the Twitter machine or the Instagrams. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs. Google Plus, for you crazy kids on the Google Plus. And my blog, Geeky Things, if I can get this to work.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, which a blog title has never been more timely than my blog right now.
Yes, exactly.
So when I started that blog in 2010, I had no idea. I've been doing it that long, so yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So I obviously had no idea the Twin Peaks was going to be back. So right now, it seems like a very prescient thing to have.
Yes, definitely. This is a very, it's turned into something very topical.
Exactly. So I was very fortunate with that. As for Ghostwood, you can reach us at GhostwoodCast on the Twitter machine, or you can email us, which would be awesome. Let us know what you think of the premiere and episodes 3 and 4 at ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com. And love to hear from you. Or you can reach us as Twitter or on Facebook at Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks Podcast. Please give us a like there. That would be awesome. And you can please subscribe to us on the iTunes if you're not doing so already.
Subscribe and rate us.
And rate us, because the more you rate us, it helps people find us, and which we would absolutely love to spread the word of Ghostwood, especially now that we actually have a new series to talk about. So.
Yeah, we have a new series. We got a lot to talk about.
So we could definitely use your help, and appreciate everybody who's already done so.
Yes, shout out to everyone who's liked us and subscribed and listened. Thank you so much.
Yes. So I guess that's about it. Xan, thank you very much once again for having me over, and Lori over for the premiere. That was great watching that with you.
Thank you for coming, Charles. I'm glad
Ghostwood United.
Yes, Ghostwood United.
Yep. And
I'm proud of us for not live tweeting the entire episode.
Yeah, I might live tweet episodes 3 and 4 since I've already watched them.
I was going to say I was way too captivated to do it.
Yeah, because it was episodes 1 and 2 were fresh out of the box. I wasn't up to live tweeting. I just wanted to watch. I didn't want to be distracted. I just wanted to just absorb everything.
Mm-hmm.
But with 3 and 4 I've already watched, so I might go ahead and live tweet those. So follow me on Twitter. So Sunday nights I will probably let's see. By the time you get this, it'll be over. So I guess that's kind of pointless, that 3 and 4, but just follow me anyway. So if I ever do live tweet Twin Peaks, you'll be ready. All right. So I think that about does it. And we will see you next week for episodes 3 and 4 right here on Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks Podcast. Bye everyone. Bye.